Understand that bear markets get uglier, and we're just in probably the beginning stages of it.
Hey guys, welcome back to Library of Wealth. Today we have Gareth Soloway forecasting the crash with Bitcoin, as well as his take on the economy and where we're headed in the next few months. Soloway has seen that inflation is so high now that no one can stop it. He believes that Bitcoin is also headed for a massive dip and can see a coming scenario that is well below his previous prediction of 12 to 13,000. Soloway says there is no good endgame in the market, and in the long term, he does see many economies getting destroyed by what's happening. He believes that investors need to be made aware that there will be a massive reset where the dollar will collapse. Let's listen to this interview with Gareth Soloway as he gives his investment advice for Bitcoin during the collapse and predicts where the crypto and stock market is headed in the next few weeks. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy what we do here on this channel. Let's get right into the video.
We've talked before about the differences between, investing and trading. So what is your approach going to be, I guess, is one question. And then how can different types of investors approach the situation that we do see coming?
Yeah, so I think each person has to figure out what they're comfortable with. Like when the markets flush sharply, I buy key technical levels, and then I don't stick around too long. I might hold it for a day, a couple days, a couple weeks, but I'm looking to sell into the pop, as in bear markets, we ultimately will go lower. So I think that's one type of investing, but it's not for everyone. Needless to say, if you work a 9 to 5, it's very hard to follow the markets very closely. So I think if you're that type of investor, you start looking for safe assets, right? You kind of move your money into maybe a little bit of gold, a little bit of silver, where in the very least it'll be protected. And I think even gold could give us a return in 2023. And I even think there will be a point where some assets, maybe a very small percentage, can go into Bitcoin when it finally bottoms out. I do anticipate a bottom in 2023, finally, in that asset. Again, how much it goes up from there, we'll have to see. But I think that, again, each person has to kind of think about from themselves. But I definitely wouldn't be like buying every dip right now in Apple or any of these others. Understand that bear markets get uglier, and we're just in probably the beginning stages of it. So I think the FTX scenario, first of all, horrendous for investors that are losing or have lost their money. But I do also think it was the kick in the pants, if you will, that the regulators in Washington needed to get something on the books. When you get that many people to get hurt, and also big money got hurt, which is kind of the first time I would say that institutional money really took it on the chin. And so I think that that's also going to push for regulation. I know everyone was against it when crypto was rocking, but this is why you need regulation. You need rules, you need transparency. Otherwise, unfortunately, there's always bad apples that are going to do shady things and end up robbing people. So we get that regulation in the door. And then once you have transparency, big money can actually invest knowing it's somewhat safe, right? It's still the investment, it's still risky investment, but at least they're not going to get their money stolen. And again, you have the same sort of kind of panic and sell in the crypto markets that you got back then. And so again, for me, I have it priced in that Bitcoin probably continues lower. Maybe as low as 9,000 is kind of my key target right now. But once it gets there, I think it's going to coincide with regulation coming out. And then I think you actually start to see a move back up in Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you saw this as a setback for the sector, but you described it as a kick in the pants. So that sounds a little bit better. For you, just a little bit more on regulation. So what would a good balance look like for you between, not too much, not too little? What is the middle ground?
I mean, things that I would want to see would be like FDIC insurance, where, one of my big concerns in my accounts is if someone hacks in and they steal my funds, it's gone technically, and I don't have any recourse about it. Once it's gone, it's gone. And I think the government needs to protect investors in that way. I also think you have to have, regular audits, like a lot of the same things that publicly traded companies have to go through. They have to show the books. They have to have it audited by a legitimate firm. There can be no hiding of assets or anything like that. What are they using? It all has to be revealed. Like if your customer funds are here, how much do they have to keep in reserves to protect the money that's on their books and stuff like, so all of these things would be really positive. I think we do run the risk of seeing the politicians over-regulate a little bit, but I think at the same time, that's a risk that you have to take in the crypto sector. Otherwise, if you don't get investment, if you don't get regulation, crypto to me is almost like a dead asset, unfortunately. And so it's a big deal. You have to have it because otherwise big money's not coming in, and then you're not getting Bitcoin to 100,000, you're not getting it to 1 million and so forth. If you get transparency, I really do believe it can go there.
Okay, and so 9,000, that's the bottom level that you're currently seeing. Is that a 2023 story? Can you just clarify that?
Yeah, so you're exactly right. For me, it is a 2023 bottom. I've priced it out right now where it would be about May or June. And so if we have that same sort of shock to the system in crypto with FTX, and from that date, 6 months out puts us in May or June of 2023, and 45%-ish from approximately when it happened puts us just below 10,000, around that 9,000 marker. Now, there is always the possibility it could go even lower. The worst case would be like 3,500 on Bitcoin, and then it would match up with Amazon's collapse in the .com. Amazon dropped 95% in the .com collapse, and that would put it on par. But that would be like a worst case scenario where regulation doesn't come out. And for the most part, I think you will get regulation. And so it will draw in some bigger money at that point at 9,000.
We've got to ask what you think the best performing asset will be in 2023. I remember from last year, it was gold versus the S&P and versus Bitcoin. And we did get that, although probably not at the heights that many people wanted to see. So 2023, what do you see going forward?
Yeah, 2023 for me, I'm going to pick gold again, and I don't like repeating myself, but if it's going to be the best performer, it's the best performer. I think that in 2023, gold will outperform. My guess is in 2024, Bitcoin will be the best performer. I think the stock market likely is going to be mired in a multi-year recession, so stocks will likely struggle for the next 2 or 3 years. I actually don't even see new all-time highs in the S&P and the NASDAQ probably for 10 to 15 years, which is kind of scary. But remember, you're coming out of this massive liquidity craze. And if you go to the .com collapse, it took the NASDAQ 15 years to make new all-time highs. So it's going to be a swing trader stock market, investors gold market, and then probably eventually a bottom picking Bitcoin market.
Okay. And so Gareth, you've been doing so many of these interviews over the last month, just giving out all of this great advice looking forward. I wondered if you had to wrap up with one point that you would leave investors with for the next year, what would it be?
I would say it's to get educated in terms of chart reading and understanding the market psychology. The reason I say that is bear markets really show us that we don't know what we think we know. We all think we're geniuses in the bull markets. Everything goes up. We make lots of money. And then the tendency is to give it all back in the bear market. Well, learn how to read and find the signals when a top is occurring. And all of a sudden you increase your net worth over years exponentially. Imagine if you had Bitcoin at even 30,000, but you sold it at 65 or 67,000 because you saw the signals that were there in the chart that a top was there.
Soloway is amazed that Bitcoin hasn't conveyed more strength in the market. This is because Bitcoin usually does the risk minimum at least 2 times when the stock market rallies. This hasn't happened because Bitcoin has floated up due to the fear of investors who have already lost money in crypto. He sees that Bitcoin has the ability to go down significantly in the next 30 days. Soloway believes that Bitcoin is not at the bottom, but he compares Bitcoin's future as the blockchain equivalent of Amazon, which at one point fell 95%, which would bring Bitcoin back to $3,500. If Bitcoin gets written down, it's hard to tell if it's worthwhile to dump that position to buy lower. He doesn't recommend exiting the market because a bull run might immediately start and the risk of investors missing out on profit is too high. What do you guys think about Gareth Soloway's prediction for Bitcoin? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.